Welcome to the Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. I am your host, Bryant Godine, and I'm joined by my brothers Keith, Danny, and Steve. We're your waiters, serving you accountability and truth. We now bring you to our program, already in progress.
All right, welcome to the Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. As you heard in the intro, we got our brothers Keith, Danny, and Steve, and we're going to bring you a little bit of truth, a little bit of humor, but always accountability. Before we really get into today's episode, just want to go around the circle, check in with these guys. We haven't seen each other in about, what is it, like 2 weeks? A lot could have changed. Some people could be married, some people could be divorced, some people could have done something very interesting during that time period. So I'll let each of them, whichever order they want to go, just chime in and say what's going on.
Yeah, I know for me, last time we were on, I didn't realize it, but I was sick and I'm still trying to get better. So you'll hear my my voice may sound a little different, but I'm glad to be here and not be in the hospital or dead.
That's always good when you don't wake up dead. Um, man, just living. I'm living, catching up to life.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
And same here. Ain't nothing's really changed that much or whatnot. Just maintaining at this point.
All right. Well, I I'm not going short because there was a lot that happened yesterday. Iron Table sponsors a church league basketball team, and we were out there. It
We
was
were
L. I'll tell
out
you, we took an L, but there's opportunities to grow. We were a couple of men short, but ultimately we had a good time, and I took my morning meds so that I could walk down the steps. um, and I tried to do 25 squats, but since I only went halfway down, I guess that's 13, no, 12 and a half. I know my math. Interesting time. I'll say that I saw a couple of videos where black men were being bashed because
Mm.
of the results of the election. Um, there was a lot. I'll say America had an opportunity to show that black women of color, mixed race women had extreme value, but America did not make that decision. And there was a lot of fallout. And particularly us brothers did get, there was a couple of videos that I came across that was shared with me where I think one lady said, if we get, police now can shoot us, you know, right on the street, basically murder us. And if we die, there's going to be no crime. There's going to be no GoFundMe pages. That if we don't have insurance, we should just dig a hole in the back and just get buried there. And I understand. They were frustrated. They were angry. They were upset. But if you look at the data, it showed that 80% black men did vote for uh, VP Harris. And I know this isn't a political show. This is more about brothers um, giving their account. But I had to at least make mention of that. Um, it was definitely a tough week to be a black man. You know, outside of those who love me in this house and those that know me, I wonder if people looked at me if they were trying to figure out who I voted for. And we politics is definitely one of those very politics and religion is one of those very sticky subjects. And so hopefully as a country we can move forward, that we focus on local level stuff where people actually impact what we do on a day to day, and just understand we've been through this. We've probably been through worse. It feels really, really bad, but we can move forward. So just wanted to throw that out there. Is again, brothers was being attacked on the street. Before I hit record, we were talking about kind of a light question. You know, what is one thing that a woman will not accept a man receive from another woman? And there was a couple of ideas thrown out. So kind of make it a
Sex.
light. Oh, we know sex is one, but I mean, there's got to be. Isn't there something almost worse than that? Because
I said food.
Food.
I said,
food.
Yeah.
So,
and nobody told me that. I feel, I felt deceived.
Nobody told me either.
I wouldn't do
You
that.
had to walk me through. You had to walk me through
Yeah,
that experience
yeah, because
because
I had no
I
unfortunate. I had been through
I
it.
didn't know. I was bringing it
Nobody.
home for my wife
This-
to taste. Yeah, it's like, sweetheart, taste this salmon that so and so, man. That she oh man.
Jesus.
so there's certain levels of
Yeah.
food. Like, can I get some chips and dip, or
No, you
No.
a grilled cheese sandwich?
Brian,
Nothing. Not a grain of rice.
even
Nothing.
taking
Not
a
a
woman,
stick of
even
gum.
taking a woman out to
Nothing.
eat, taking a woman out to eat is equivalent to buying her jewelry. You may as well just buy like at a nice restaurant. If you or like you said, that part where again the woman cooks, she says, "Oh, I cooked too much. I just brought it to share with everybody, and I'm just part of everybody." And I'm like, "Oh, this is good." I'm like, "Oh, look." I
So
take
what if
it.
you get a list? What if you get a list
No.
of everyone's
No.
name, have them sign
Yup.
it like it's a?
Go ahead.
No.
Find out. I'm trying to
Eating
tell you.
I ain't that hungry.
eating another woman's food is the equivalent of buying her flowers.
Yeah,
You didn't do anything
Exactly.
but eat. But it's like you did something.
you did
Do you
something,
know? Ooh.
and
Do you
you
know
can't talk about like
Do you know the hell I caught for eating a peanut butter sandwich? Peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Not even one
Peanut
that
butter
was
and jelly.
homemade. It wasn't even homemade. It was a crustable. The ones that are in the freezer that you just grab out the freezer and make a crustable.
this
I
woman got
thought
you a crustable.
So she spent money
so
on you.
it was her. I think her. She had a kid, and it just, she said, "Oh, I heard you like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Here you go." I caught. Oh, I'm trauma.
So
Trauma.
this is where you need a friend to come in out of nowhere and just slap it out your hand. Like,
Phone a
nope.
friend.
The
Don't do it,
the
bro.
only look I had was just like it was just like like you don't men don't think like that at all. But when
Yeah.
you know now, it's a yeah.
Did you get an explanation though? What is she? How did she feel, or what was her thought process?
Crazy doesn't have an explanation. It's just is. It's like a force of nature. It just is. You don't ask.
So then, what's
It's
the
like ask
reverse?
why do you feel like that? Do you want another argument?
Yeah.
So
These are
what's the
man
reverse?
rules 101.
If we can't receive food from a woman, what is it that for us men we're like, nah, you can't get that from him?
Hmm.
That's good.
I would say this,
I would say, go ahead, Keith.
I know when it's a guy that always shows him want to fix stuff, flat tires
Yep, there you go. Car stuff. Yep.
car stuff, or in the workplace. I'll get that for you. I'll do that for you. They call it the work
Yeah.
husband. Those are the guys you keep hearing
Ooh,
certain names.
that's
Then
a trauma word.
when because again, the inverse of that is I had some extra salmon, so I took it to work. Give it to Larry, and it's like did you just feed Larry yesterday? Like Larry sure is hungry. Or sometimes, like you said, but I think normally for us it takes a little longer because we don't really. Oh man, Larry must be hungry. Like we don't even think that way in most cases where their antennas go up right away.
But I mean, okay, so let's use the car analogy. If this guy is fixing or reducing the cost of the labor for a car, isn't that a bonus for us? Like, aren't we like, yeah,
No,
that's
it
cool?
all depends, bro.
Because it leads to something
it,
else.
is he a mechanic that's what he does? I'm
Mm-hmm.
soliciting, I'm involved in the process of him, or is he a dude that's trying to rescue the damsel in distress. Oh, I got it. I'll change that tire. Let me just check your oil. Okay, let me, if it's just like too much, he's trying to help her with like
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's my job. No, that's
Now,
not
do
gonna
you
work.
already know that this stuff needs to be done, or what happens like if you're not around in the car and she does need her tire changed? You're like, okay, dude helped out, man. Thanks, that's a good
For
solid.
sure. For sure.
But what
Yeah,
if you don't know? I mean, is it our job to know
no,
to?
we can have. I believe it's good for us to recognize where we have conscious incompetence.
Mm.
So
You
like
got to explain
I'm
that.
so I know that I'm not good at that I need help with this over here. I should get the base. As a man, you should know how to check though. You should know if the car is grinding when you push the brakes, like that's bad. You should know that the car is drifting or if it's vibrating or if it's doing there's certain things that are just basic common sense, right? But
Mhm.
understanding that I'm not a mechanic, it's okay to solicit help. What's not okay is for some random work husband dude to be taking her car, to his house and to be under the hood for 2 hours trying to make sure that she's like, yeah, nah, it's not gonna work for me. I need for whoever is working on the car to really come through me because most women don't know about cars. They're gonna get jacked and or they're being
Mm-hmm.
come on, help me out,
Manipulated.
fellas.
Now you,
Yeah,
I
either
have to say you
manipulated
mentioned
or
go through you. Now, if we go back to the food thing, where are we supposed to go through our wives before accepting food from someone else? Our significant others? I mean,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me,
and what if
yes.
they're not around and you
If you want,
are
if you want peace,
famished?
mm,
If you're not around, then I wouldn't eat it. I would take
you
it
better make a
home. And
you
so
better
and
make
so
a
gave
phone call or text message
yeah.
or
So
something.
Or just throw it in the trash, just receive it,
Unless you
and yeah.
choosing violence, unless you want to choose violence,
But
then
yeah.
go ahead and eat
that
them
was
food.
what and taking it home. I'm sharing this with you to make you
Yeah.
aware that this, it is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that kind of sets us into, last week or last 2 weeks ago, we were on a roll, and I said we got to talk about this. Um, what are the rules in relationships? Let's we got to,
Mm,
because for men, I know that we operate in accountability, and accountability has rules, it has boundaries, it has, if this then that. But in relationships, we're bringing in a second person, and we all acknowledge that, there's two sides of a whole. There's the accountability side, and then there's the feeling side. And sometimes feelings does not, operate in a controlled environment. It's supposed to breathe, permeate, fills in some cracks. It's a wonderfully frustrating thing. Um, but when you're establishing a relationship, what are the core rules of a relationship, and how do you set them?
Yeah. For me, I think that they're always individual. Like different people, different strokes,
Mhm.
different folks. And so for some people, they are able to communicate effectively with an elevated tone. And
mm-hmm.
there's no from the research that I've done and been exposed to with Dr. John Gottman, who is probably the foremost relationship expert, I would argue, in the world. Um, he found that there's no correlation between people using an elevated tone, yelling, screaming, and breaking up divorce. But there, some people, based on their experience, their life experiences, like an elevated tone is a trigger. It
Mm-hmm.
activates the trauma that they experienced. And there's big T and little T trauma. I recently learned. I know Keith and Steve could speak to that a little bit more. But if the person that I'm in a relationship with was traumatized in a relationship where somebody was pairing up an elevated tone with other destructive behaviors, it's probably going to be very adversely create an adverse response in the relationship. I think it's unique. Some people like that, they're good. They go toe to toe. I know men and women who throw hands. I've seen people who like, yeah, it's like, I'm not saying that that's healthy, but for them, it was like,
It
yeah,
works.
you. So.
How do you recover from that? You know, was it no hitting in the face? You know, that's the off limits part. I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but like if there's a tussle, it's
tussle.
yeah, it's understood that this is what we do. I ain't saying that it's right. I'm saying for some people, they understand. They have an understanding that hey, if you put your hands on me, I'm going to put my hands on you, and
Which is wild because imagine if you have kids and your kids see that, then they
yeah,
start practicing that, and then it elevates a sense of normalcy for them of like, hey, this is just how you solve your problems. This is how you communicate. But that's deviant for our society. And now the kid is set up for failure to go to jail, to get his behind beat up. What it's yeah, at a certain point, it's like, hey, what we really doing, you know? But yeah, that's interesting. But I do agree with you that it is subjective to the particular couple, different strokes, like you said, for different folks. There's some of the rules may include it being, hey, we have an open relationship. Some people at work, some people it does not. So it definitely will depend. But there are some core things such as being able to communicate with your partner about your feelings, whether good feelings or bad feelings, but being able to just speak to your partner about what's going on or how you're feeling, I think is very very key. Just that communication part. You gotta talk to the person, whether you hate them or you love them. You know what I mean? So that way we know if we staying together or if we leaving. Just being able to communicate to your people, because you'd be surprised how many people, especially now with society, man, we so into these screens that we forget to talk to the other person everywhere we go. Even if we're in a restaurant, we're in our screens, but we're not talking to the person. Or if we eating a meal, we in our screens, we're not talking to the other person. So I'm a strong component in talking to your other your spouse or
But
your
what happens
significant
when
other.
you've reached that place where most relationships get to? It seems like everything is an argument. You say hi, it's a fight. You say good morning, it's an argument.
That means it's
You
time to go. Look, how much we waste our time at this point, because at this point, I hate the way you breathe. I hate the way you sneeze. Probably, it's like, hey, do we still love each other? Do I still like you? Do you still like me? It's okay to not say, hey, you know what? We ran our course.
are we
The
frozen?
season for everything.
or time to go get help. Because some people still got gas in the tank. They're tangled. That's what I call it. They're tangled. They're in a knot. That knot keeps leading back to the knot. So every time they try to get out on their own, it leads right back to the knot. So it's sometimes
But you said something there. Get out on their own.
yeah, they can't get out on their own.
It can't get out on their own. When there's two people, you got someone else on the other side, also, weaving in a different way. But I hear that you got to talk. But when is a good time to talk about relationship rules? Is it in the beginning? It's definitely not near the end, but how do you
All three.
weave that in?
All three. It's in the beginning.
All the time.
It's during the relationship, and yes, for some people, it's even at the end. Some people actually get it right as they're ending it. Because man, if we had done this before, we probably wouldn't need to get divorced. But now that I've choked you, beat you, slapped you, kicked you down the steps, I don't think you want to still be with me. So, it's real talk. But so no, you're constantly changing and updating relationship goals and rules and regulations. Because again, who knew coming in? We all said, who knew that food was a trigger for women? Nobody told us that. Like whether you eating alone
or eating with somebody. Sometimes it didn't even involve another woman. You could, like you said, Steve, you could just be eating a pizza by yourself, and she come home
that I bought with my money in my house.
Or did you at least do half and half? I mean,
slices and sticks.
yeah, I mean, like here, I know you like I know not to come home without
I try,
if I'm going to the store
hey,
to
babe,
try to get some of my
eat this,
family.
man. This is now. I tried not to size it, but it was good. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like now, and let me ask y'all this: like, if it came from sister so and so, who's like twice my age, like, and they're like, is that enough, or does it have to be sent from sister so and so to your wife, so that
you know
you can
what?
benefit from it too?
You bring up a good point, because there is those who are a threat or a perceived threat. Then that's when it's a problem. But if it is from sister so and so, that's maybe twice your age, and it is no threat. Oh, it's okay. It's cute. But yeah, you're right about that, Dan. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Those perceived threats. Those
But
perceived
So
threats.
our women are the gatekeepers. Let's just say that our women are the gatekeepers.
Sometimes if you want peace, unless you want to choose violence, I mean, go ahead.
It's either peace or a slice. You get sliced up or you get peace.
Because there's a lot of professions I know, like pastors. A lot of times people like to cook for the pastor, and they say it's for the pastor and his wife, but they only bring it to the pastor.
Because they know not to go to the wife first. That thing is going to, what is it? They say file J13. What is that? The trash can?
No, it's that's bad.
I'm fortunate. I work from home, so ain't nobody bringing me any food here. I don't subscribe to, was it DoorDash, Uber Eats, none of that. It's like if I can't find it in the house, I drive and go by myself to get it. So I'm glad y'all brought, because I did not know, and of course I wouldn't. I wouldn't enter into that. So again, we're saying that you start rules in the beginning, that as you're going along, that as things change and you evolve, you add in rules. But what happens when this happens? What do you do when the rules are broken?
You got to establish some rules to engagement. So again, even going back further to the question that you did ask about what is it that you establish, kind of, you got to talk about what do we do when we argue, have a disagreement, or and God forbid, fight. What are our rules? What do we do? How do we argue? How do we have a disagreement? When do we know when to say enough is enough? We got to revisit this because it's getting too heated. We got to know, hey, if I as a man leave the conversation because it's getting heated, you got to know that I'm not leaving you, period. I'm just coming. I'll come back, but that has to be established. You can't just do it. You got to just say, hey honey, I'm not, this is how I operate. I'm leaving I if I find that it's getting too heated, I'm gonna let you know, hey, we need to stop. We need to have a hard stop. I'll come back to the conversation, but I don't want this to go any further. Let's cool off. XYZ. I am coming back. I am not abandoning you. I'm not leaving you. I love you. Let's resolve this at a later time. You got to communicate that, because if you just off rip do, then people are going to think, hey, guess what? They're leaving me. They're abandoning me. X, Y, and Z. So again, establishing these rules about how we even engage in our disagreements is key. Is definitely key.
But what happens? No, you talking to me right now. You're not going nowhere until we resolve this.
And you have broken our rule of engagement, and now everything that happens moving forward is your fault, because you've broken the rules. You've broken the rule. Just like when you break the rules in society and you go to jail. Guess what? No, all your rights, some of your rights, not all your rights, but some of your rights are done. You lose your freedom. You lose your right to do this. You lose your right to do that. So guess what? Now there's consequences when we go against the rules of our relationship. So there has to be rules, and I have couples write out what are our 10 commandments of our relationship, our do's and don'ts. What are we going to,
But
what
aren't
are we
they
going to
doing
do?
that? aren't they doing that when everything is cool, everything is calm? Like, what is like? Is it better to write the rules when you are angry and upset, so you know how you feel, how, or is
It's
it in
it's a
periods of
work in
calm?
it's a work in it's a living document. You know what I mean? Because again, yes, we do react in our emotions, and that's sometimes not a good thing. But again, we have to also be at kind of a way with ourselves where we kind of understand and know what it is that we don't and don't want. So again, a part of being able to be in a relationship is also kind of getting to know yourself better too as well. You got to know what you're willing to deal with and what you're willing to not put up with too as well.
Now, you should know that before getting married, right?
Hmm.
So what happens? What
No,
happens if
no,
you don't?
you should have an idea of what you want, and you can talk about what you want, and that's why you go to a professional or some people or people who just been through this walk, because we know we've carved out our own paths. So
No.
we already know you don't know everything coming in the door. That's why we have issues because
Yeah.
we run into things we've never seen. So no one's
Hmm.
going to come into marriage already expecting to know what all the rules are. We have so many
Mhm.
challenges that are just different, like social media, um, mainly social media, and all these other
Mhm.
technological advances that we've made that have built us up, but also crippled us as couples.
Hmm.
So you have to make rules now about being on the phone. How much time do we spend on the
Yeah.
phone? What's allowed to be posted? What's not? You have to make decisions. Can I like
do
pictures? Can I
do
not like
do
pictures?
I even post you? Do I post
Do I
you?
even post it?
What
And
happens
do
if
I
I
have to
don't
get it?
post
Do I have to get it approved before I post it? Hey, baby, I want to share this picture of us on the beach. Okay, thanks.
you? Or if you don't, why you not sharing no pictures of me? That's why. And see, this is why I don't have. This is exactly why I'm not falling into that trap.
So yes, there has to be rules, and we deal with rules that our grandfathers, fathers, and grandfathers, great grandfathers didn't have to deal with. Like again, we have women who are working class now, and many of them generate a nice income, and now we gotta make rules for that. I know you make your own money, and I make my own, but we still got. I mean, the bills. I mean, we still got to take care of each other. Like we can't just like I know some men who say it can't you make more than me, it can't just all be on me and you just go out and do whatever you want. Like again, we're establishing rules that we haven't had to establish in the past. So no, you it's forever changing, but you have to have some coming in, and it's the foundations: respect, trust, love, commitment,
Mm.
cooperation, like rules that govern all of that kind of wonderfulness.
There is a universal rule though that I think
Yeah.
that I haven't seen it break yet. And I think Keith, we've spoke about this. Um, I think there's a universal rule about, I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody getting married to somebody that you've known less than 2 years, because I think at around year two, you start to really get to understand and know that person. You know what I mean? Because the first, I want to say the first 6 months to a year, we're a false representation of that
Oh
other
yeah.
to that other person, and they are to us. But it's around that 2 year mark where we get really comfortable. We really start to show who it is that we really are, our habits, our quirks, all those particular things. And sometimes if you live with somebody, you get to see certain things that are just not that are questionable. And you have to ask yourself, hey, can I live with this for the rest of my life? Because once you go ahead and jump into that I do, being able to then say I don't, it's a whole different ball game. I try to get people to understand you cannot just jump into a marriage and then year 1.5, 2 years is like, oh, I didn't know all this. Well, yeah, I told you to wait. But now you're getting that. So, that kind of that rubric, and it's a little bit, it's wiggle room with that. It's never proven me wrong so far. It's always been kind of like, hey, around that a year and a half to 2 year mark, you're really struggling with this concept of, can I stay with this person? Can I deal
Mhm.
with these things? But sometimes it's too late. You are already got married. What you mean? You have to deal with this now, unless you are not, unless you don't think really highly of your vows, because you said for better or for worse, you got to stay in this now at this point.
So what do we say to those people that did not follow that 2 year unspoken rule. And you got a person, say I'm 46. The world can Google me and find all this stuff about. Okay, I'm 46. I'm not married, and I find someone who also has never been married, and we ain't getting any younger, as the song says. We might as well do it.
Mhm.
What do you counsel those individuals
That's the
that just
dumbest reason in the world to get married. I just wanted to say that.
I'm so you know what
I mean,
that's
why
why I
did he
love.
just come right in? I mean, I didn't even finish my statement. I'm like, what do you do?
I was thinking it, but I'm
But
thinking.
no, he just get he hit the nail on the head.
But I mean, people, there are people out there who have been told you getting married in this age bracket. What was it, like in your 20s? You have kids, so by the time you hit 40s, 50s, that your kids are grown out the house, and you get to enjoy life at your highest earning potential. But
But
now
that's
you've
that's
got
but
people that are.
that's the reason why you should be more cautious because you're at an older age. You get into a wrong situation, it's gonna put you in the grave because of stress. You got time to waste at this
But what
point?
about
No.
those people that want to know what marriage is like, and they're just like, hey,
Or
you're
you don't
single,
enjoy
I'm
it
single, let's get
because
You
together.
don't know what divorce is like.
yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna be
Yes.
divorced and you're gonna be paying child support and alimony, so you don't end up enjoying your later years because you're broke.
Yep, yep.
You're
To be
tired.
clear,
Or
y'all are not
you're
against
dead. Or
marriage.
dead.
It's a process.
Or dead. No, marriage is not. I believe. I'm a
People
big
get married
believer.
for the wrong reasons. That's
They
my
do.
my, my own
They
thing.
do.
Half of the women that I know just want to get married.
Not
They
even
don't
half. If you want
actually
to have more than half,
they want
Man,
they they just want a wedding and they want to
the part
feel
they want to party.
yes, they want to dress up like a princess and have everybody come and like, I'm telling you, I'm
Yeah,
being real.
it's real. We've talked
I
Like
about
have look. I'm not trying to put nobody's business out in the street, but I have a friend who there was a woman that he was dating, and she all of a sudden just started putting out wedding invitations. He didn't know anything about them getting married, anything like that. He confronted her. I heard the conversation. He said, "What? We never getting married." She says, "You're gonna marry me. We're gonna have this wedding. You can divorce me later." I said, "Oh, this is yes, yes." I said, "Oh, I get it now. They just
I'm
want
looking
the
at Keith's
wedding.
face. What are you looking at, Keith?
They just want the wedding." She said, "You can marry me. You gonna marry me. We're gonna have this wedding. You can divorce me later."
And
That
what was
just
his
let my
response?
mindset was just I just want the wedding. I just want the wedding. I just want the experience of being married, have this wedding, and that's it. And that's not everybody, but there's a lot of people that think just like that.
yeah.
yeah. Well, I
Divorce
mean,
is
you see it in Hollywood, where they it's like, why would you get married again? Somebody was like, J-Lo got more rings than LeBron. Like, I'm just like, I'm not trying to but like, why? Why
Yeah.
would you get married again, knowing that they just divorced their third husband? This is like, that's what a boyfriend is for. Why get married if you know that it's going to be something that you eventually just like
But what
marriage
if
is.
what if it's morality, and they're like, I don't want to engage in what is it, fornication, or premarital sex, and
Well, if that's
That's
instead
the
a
of
case,
whole
you're
doing
not
that,
nother.
supposed. Yeah, but if
That's a
that's the
whole
case, you're not
nother.
supposed to get divorced then either. So I mean, it's like we're picking and choosing what it is that we want to do, and there's no people don't take marriage seriously. I know this is going to sound really horrible, but I think that if you get married and you end up getting a divorce, I think that they should take a finger or a toe. They should take a finger or a toe because
He
off
then
like
going
people
where
he
and
going
put it
Old
where.
Testament.
before you get married, I guarantee you're gonna think twice. Do I really want to do this? Because I'm gonna you only got about 10 to 20 times to get like which finger, which toe do you want to lose? Because at a certain point there's no seriousness in marriage. Because I feel like I can just get married, I can just get divorced, I can just get it annulled. There's no seriousness.
There's no
There's no
penalty.
there's no penalty getting a divorce off rip, if that makes any sense. Now, yeah, there's penalties if you have kids and alimony, all that stuff. Yeah, there's, but you're not really thinking about that. There needs to be an immediate consequence, or there needs to be a license a true license to
We talking
to
about
get.
license.
We have a license to have a, to, well, no, not
A
really
gun
a
to
firearm. Is
drive
to drive,
to
to
do there.
to do. Yeah, we go to school for all these
You need a
degrees.
license to fish.
But I mean,
You need
all
a
of those
license to
things,
fish.
all
You
those
can't just listen
licenses
to me.
are
You cannot
based.
just go to any pond or any lake and establish that this is what I'm doing. You need permission from somebody that says you are authorized to be here. We wouldn't have
Did
most
you
of these
go
problems if
fishing
we
without a
stopped letting
license? Because
unauthorized people come in and do stupid stuff.
this feels very personal. Did you
But you
get stopped
could just be
for illegal
But
fishing?
you could just go down and sign some papers and be somebody's husband or wife.
I's married now.
But I mean, okay, let's bring it up. A license, even if a license is a point in time type thing. It says at the time that I took whatever test that I was competent enough. It doesn't say that if I, that I'm good. It just says for that moment, at that point in time, that I was good enough to pass.
No, let's address that because I'm a big believer in it. I joke about that because on the day that I did my test, I'm 10 and 2. I know everything that I'm supposed to do. Ask me how I drive now. No, don't. Because
you should have to re-up it. You should have to
when I
re-up
get pulled over, I know I'm wrong because I know what I was supposed to be doing. Because I took the class, I had the lessons, I had to wait a year with my permit. I didn't just jump into my license. I had a whole permit for X amount of time. So when I got pulled over for doing whatever I was doing, that's my fault. So we don't have any of that for marriage. It's just jump in.
For marriage or children.
Older you?
Yeah.
You're old enough? Here's some keys. Go drive on the highway.
And the crazy part is to undo your marriage.
Oh my God.
Then they put you through, you got to take this course, or you got to have this. And it's just like, yo, it's like, wait,
6
but
months. Don't you do a mediation?
What?
A minimum of 6 months.
Some states have years.
Years.
It's crazy.
So, but you let me walk in and sign on the dotted line, and I was instantly in this mess. But I gotta cut through hell and high water to get out.
Yeah. Pay big money.
So what it sounds like is y'all need to create a marriage license course.
Oh, we already Keith we talked about some stuff.
No, I mean y'all need to do that.
Insurance, man. I think if you paid into this,
you know what, we're going to have an episode on marriage insurance, but
we need to have an episode on marriage insurance
right now. Explain to people just the premise of marriage insurance. We can the next episode we can go deep into it because I have it. It's for me it looks interesting. It is a prenuptial agreement.
But you can't say it. Well,
you can't call it a prenuptial agreement
because
it's marriage
what is
insurance.
A marriage license? What is marriage insurance? All right. So
now first, hey, but before you say anything, Keith, 3 out of 4 of us have experienced divorce.
And
right?
Everyone by now knows who hasn't.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And
I'm the only one still like, hey.
Yes. And you're the great black hope. So like just listen. Just listen. When you go through divorce, your perspective changes. You cannot unsee what, like you know that parable of the rich man and Lazarus, where the man is in hell and he's just like, yo, when you know what it's like, you like, yo, you got to tell these people, don't come down here because this.
Oh yeah, I'll make sure y'all tell me.
So go ahead, Keith. I just wanted to preface that 3 out of 4 of us, we've lived through the hell of divorce. So we got a unique perspective on marriage. This idea of marriage insurance. Talk to me, Keith.
3 out of the 4. This is going to say that no one questions that.
No, because it's a beautiful green. It's a beautiful greenness you have. I love it. Like you ask questions because you really don't know, and I pray to God you never know. But I'm
sitting here cultivating, cutting my lawn, and y'all just like it's scorched earth. y'all don't put up rocks. It's like Arizona on y'all side. It's hard skate. But no, okay. Give the overview.
The overview is simply this: just like we pay for all other kinds of insurance in case something happens,
marriage insurance would be one of those things that would cover couples. And what I would do, the way it was set up, is not just that you pay money and it's something in case something happens. This paying into these premiums would allow you to have access to marriage
benefits.
counseling.
Yeah, the benefits.
Yeah, all the benefits.
Like you got a towing package. Like if you locked out of your car, like you're invested into this protective measure where you can just call, hey, I'm locked out. Hey, I got a flat. Hey, I got a this.
But
so for your marriage,
how often are you doing that though?
Well, you got a limit. That AAA is a limit on your. There's a certain number, but you have the benefit. You've paid in advance for the benefit in case something happens, and
because it's going to happen. It's like with the car. It's going to happen.
That's going to happen.
Life insurance. We're not always going to be here. It's going to happen.
You told me I'm a hope, and now you're just telling me it's going to happen.
Yes,
you always have the.
But you are prepared. When you get a flat tire, you are prepared because you have pumps, you have insurance, you have all these things that when you come across a problem, you're prepared to handle it, you manage it. Marriage is not. We jump into this thing and we hit a flat and we're stuck.
No spare tires,
no
jumper cables, no phone, no charger, nothing.
We just out still got your feet
in the wilderness
and you walk
in the desert.
Help.
Where there are grizzly bears ready to eat you alive.
Her friends.
Sure. Yep.
And family.
Y'all are dark. You know what? I need y'all to also go black and white like Steve. Just go ahead and just
go sit.
Yeah, go sit. This is straight Sith thinking. And I'll explain that later. But no, go back to okay, so we're paying into premiums for the what ifs.
Yes.
Now, what happens if, like, I make it 15 years, I make it 20 years, nothing happens? Do I get a return on my investment? My deductible goes down. What are you saying?
or safe driver credit.
Yes. Because, again, you're still getting credits. You're still getting benefits. There are things that you're going to still be able to use in those years where it like I said, I don't want to explain all of it today. Yeah, we'll come back, but there are benefits in having it that you may not even use right away, but they'll be offered. So there will be people who need it. 9.9, I'll say not. I'm willing to bet 99.9% of people will need it. We all hit that wall at some point. Even the best couples hit that wall. Don't have no kids too, and have to try to raise kids, and don't let those kids be girls who are teenagers. Lord
and
Jesus.
Don't let it be in this day and age, which is impossible.
Yeah, social media, like I said, it's impossible not to have controversy. And I'm learning that I ain't picking on the women, but so I had them this week. Some people told me my man is boring because he doesn't fight with me. And I'm like, because he wants peace, but she needed to argue. I need to argue. I need drama.
All right.
Yeah.
We're
gonna be in the rabbit hole with that one. But the idea of marriage insurance, as I've understood, because it didn't originate in me, but when I heard it, it was like, because even the concept of making an agreement prior to a contentious misunderstanding, ego battle, like I was really resistant prior to going through my divorce to the idea of prenuptial agreements. I think that we have a misunderstanding though when it comes to a prenuptial agreement. The idea is that I'm saying that I'm planning for the demise. That's the idea.
No, that's not it.
I'm saying that, hey, you know what? I'm not really thinking that this is forever.
Because somebody asked me that.
Yeah, it's not.
Isn't that also not the form of sharing? Because
hold on. Let me say this one thing. Until you go through the inherently adversarial process of divorce, where the person who you promised to love and cherish till death do us part is trying to kill your. I'm trying not to get. And once you lifeless, wants to unlife, like just in every imaginable way to cause you the most excruciating, painful, unnecessarily complex, just like you. If you haven't gone through the hell of divorce, you don't get it. When you go through it and you understand how you can be in love with somebody and then they can hate and be trying to kill you and take everything that they possibly can from you. And so the concept
That's the
is
key. That's the key right there. That is the key because Brian, I don't think that you can't even fathom right now your wife
No,
being the devil, not to anybody else, but to you.
no,
To
Yeah,
no.
you.
to you.
You can't
Imagine
fathom that.
every speaker in your house. She don't even listen to none of these speakers. But
And that's
imagine,
and that's
I want all the
that's
speakers.
that's a
Just
scary thought.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
scary thought.
Oh my
The person
gosh,
that I
man,
love the most, that comes second to only God, is now the person that wants to end everything about me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary concept. That's a very
Yeah.
scary concept.
it is. It's hard. You promise to love. You promise to protect, and for the years or for the time that you've done it, that's been the goal. But now you get to a space where, like you said, this person is coming for my head. So part of what
Mm-hmm.
this marriage insurance would do is prepare for that. In the event that we end up here, what is the plan?
Yeah.
Going back to what we talked about before, the
It's
rules. What's the plan?
so
What's the plan?
all it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was going to say all it is deciding, and I've learned just in life, this principle is so relevant. You need to decide before the crisis happens how you're going to handle the crisis.
yeah, risk
Like
assessment.
you have to do that
You have to.
because the crisis is going to happen. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you hope that the crisis of divorce won't happen, but even if understanding just the statistics behind it, it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense to have a plan while the two of us are clothed in our right mind. You know what? If somebody's mental capacity gets compromised and you go out here and do like I am very against having unconditional parameters in
Mm.
any relationship. I don't even think God does that.
Yeah, he
He
has conditions. God has
yes,
conditions.
he absolutely
Keep
does.
my commandments,
And
obey.
so what are the conditions and what will happen if the day that you eat thereof you will surely die? You're going to have to leave the garden. It's going to be
You
a
can handle
very
that
clear,
forbidden fruit.
unmistakable. Yeah, no, I'm telling you. And all that we're saying
Good
with this
stuff.
idea of marriage insurance is maybe we need to take out the terminology of prenuptial because of how it
It has a negative.
is
It has a
yeah
Okay.
how
negative
Has a
it's
negative
seen,
connotation.
connotation.
which is why the idea was marriage insurance, because you don't plan on the accident, you don't plan on the death, you don't plan on but you prepare for it in
You,
advance. You decide before any potential crisis happens how you would handle said crisis.
and you know what? I think it would also help that people have an understanding coming into it. Like, yeah, we always think that this is for if the other person messes up. Then you start thinking about, hey, I'm not perfect. What happens if I mess up?
Hmm.
This this is this is to protect me not only from myself, but me from that other person because I'm not perfect. So again, that goes back to those conversations I was talking about it, where it's so easy to point the finger towards somebody else, but we got to start thinking about ourselves and what it is that our fallacies are, what our imperfections
Absolutely.
are, and what it is that we may mess up on first, and go into it like that instead of thinking like, I think you're gonna cheat on me. I think you go just think like, hey, look, I'm not perfect. I don't know what's in my mind. I don't know what's in my heart, but to protect my wife or my husband from my imperfections, I'm willing to come at the table and sit down and talk about these particular
All right, we definitely want to talk because I got a whole host of questions from
things.
my my sunny view, but it is definitely interesting. I want y'all to tell me the difference between marriage insurance and a prenup because it still sounds like, and
Semantics,
maybe
bro.
it's
That's what it is. It's semantics. It's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But it's
Well,
because
it's I
one of the questions
it's
one of the
semantics,
questions
but I will also speak on the fact that because you're paying into something, it would what a prenup doesn't do, a prenup just says how we're going to end this and the term and the reasons why we would end this. The insurance would cover the relationship. The insurance would cover getting, like I said, I want to offer things while you're paying these premiums. We're offering counseling, we're offering certain packages where we're actually paying for you to invest in your relationship. So you're doing certain things.
It's
like a home warranty.
Wait a minute. Let's see if I can't hear you. Say that again.
From what I'm hearing, hopefully that's correct. It's not just to cover financial needs. It covers
It's like Danny said, it's like a home warranty. You pay that fee, and the guy just shows up to fix whatever, help you fix whatever you need to fix. So there's certain things where, again, you might be in a good space and you don't need any help this month. But this week, no, we've had problem with communication. We've had problem with finances. We've had
it sounds like they just need to have a counselor on retainer.
Yes,
that's part of it. That's part of it. Counselor, coach. Again.
Okay, so y'all, I don't want y'all to get deep into it, but I'm glad to hear, because before it sounded like it was just all right.
No.
Divvying up resources.
It includes that. I think you have to include it.
It does.
It's almost like not having life insurance.
Yes.
Like what that doesn't make any sense.
No,
giving the statistics about so
it
definitely includes the end part in case it don't work out.
So you know how the biggest one is who would be on the hook for payouts given the numbers that y'all are saying. Who could make money from
the government?
Yes, all the way.
As long as if you get by from the government, you ain't gonna worry about it.
And that means people will probably just be like, "Hey, I'm married, and I don't want to be," just to get a payout.
Oh, there gotta be some clauses in that, because you can't just do that with when you get car insurance. They got a waiting period. They got a time frame where hey, you can't just get insurance and then make a claim within the first 30 to 90 days. You know.
What about those people that will, I won't say falsify documents, but
you
always run the risk of fraud in anything that you do. But you would help more people. In my belief, you would help more people than you would be defrauded. Hopefully, you won't have people. The pirates are going to come. Every industry, even government, has pirates.
Yeah, I think that if I can surmise before my phone dies, because it's been hanging on by a thread. Marriage insurance is about the rules.
Yeah,
it's all about the rules for the relationship. And when we look from Genesis to Revelation, there are always rules. God never leaves anything to chance. He lets you know these if-then statements. Yeah. And it's a very clear, non-confusing, just this is what's going to happen. When you go here, this is what you find. When you go there, this will find there's a tree of life, there's a tree of knowledge of good and evil, there's a benefit package for both. And you choose. But you're paying into that package based on the fruit that you choose to eat. In the same way, like if you have this concept of marriage insurance, it's the rules. It's you deciding as a couple, we want to be able to have a towing package when the car breaks down. We want to be able to have
an extended warranty.
Yes, it's an extended
warranty. So it's not
warranty,
an end all, but it's just a maintenance package. Okay,
it covers all.
Plus life insurance, and it'll make sure that you won't try and, because I'm telling you, I've walked with enough people who are going through divorce who are just taken back with just how inherently adversarial it is, because this person is trying to kill you. Sometimes not physically, but in every other imaginable way. Like they're trying to, and this is like, okay, if you can decide beforehand, all right, so that it's not even an issue. The rules are already created. When you go in to play a game, you know where out of bounds is. And so if you're in a tense situation where somebody's violated the rules of relationships, this is out of bounds. And now that's a turnover on downs. Now you have to change possession. And so it's just giving clarity. It's giving rules, because we thrive with that predictability.
Okay. All right. The other two Fifth Lords have anything to say?
Right on.
Right. Oh, that's funny. No, man, it's take care of your marriages. Again, we all walked into this not knowing what we were getting into. Men and women, we walked into this not knowing, not understanding everything. We have our examples or lack of examples, but we're all trying to figure this out. So, I went to at our church Miracle City in Baltimore yesterday. We had a marriage coaching event yesterday. And I'm glad we went because it was all the couples, and it was nice. I really enjoyed it, and I was glad to see so many couples that look like us in there, writing, taking notes, getting the information. It excited me. Like, again, I want her to come back. I'm also want to bring some stuff. So, like, again, I mean, we want to strengthen couples. I talked to the pastor yesterday. He said next year we're going to do the retreat in October. So we're going to take the couples and go away. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
I will say in the first administration, that's what I call the first marriage. I remember like year 1 or 2, early on, I don't know if it was that early, but early on in our marriage, we went on a retreat. And I remember how getting away and getting some of this information away from it was different.
Mm-hmm.
It was different. I believe couples need that, and that's part
Absolutely.
of what. So it's
Hey, maybe we can put in I know I'm talking out of turn, but a child care package, because I like in year 2 I had 2 kids, and so we was just like,
no, the one we had in Michigan, they had some of the teens come up, and that's what they did while we were in our trainings. They made sure the kids didn't die.
Yeah.
So they fed them, and they were outside. Like it was different. They weren't on tablets all day. Like it was just different. So, taking care of your marriage, taking care of each other, and actually treating it like the course that it is. It's something we're always going to be learning. Always, we're going to constantly be learning the person we're with. We're going to change. They're going to change. Inevitable.
Okay. All right, Right Reverend Steve.
I said right on. It's like no, but again, first and foremost, even before we even get to this point, just take marriage seriously, because if you get it wrong, the consequences are dire. It's an emotional roller coaster you're not prepared for, and you don't want, and no human being should have to go through. Like I said, this person that showed everything is now the person that wants to destroy you, your being, or you may feel like you want to destroy them. It's not meant to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that, So think twice before you jump into that whole realm of of marriage. It definitely takes some time, because it's all fun and games until you see one name as the plaintiff and the other name as a defendant. It get real. It get really real.
Especially murder charges are all. I'm just saying it can get that real where not just
that's how they set up divorce. Like
yeah,
the other person is defendant, so you're automatically on opposing teams at this point.
Yeah. And I would just chime in to say that a lot of times we see mental health breakdowns, especially amongst men, and almost always a bad marriage is like I've seen like newspaper articles of men dousing themselves in gasoline and lighting a match, like literally just because of the duress, and there's all kinds of horrible stories that exist.
I was gonna say there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and marriage can be a blessing, but everything that can be a blessing has the potential to become a curse.
Yes,
and, and so I would just say understand the role that you have to play. There is something you can do. You can put a spare tire that's properly inflated in your car. I'm not saying to try to drive 80 miles an hour on that spare tire, but having the spare tire is good to have, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And how you're going to handle those tough and difficult times when they come is really a characteristic of the wise.
Because it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming, Brian. It's coming.
No, it is not.
Okay.
No, we're not putting that in the atmosphere, man.
I, it's this.
This square
It's a
will stay
circle of
colorful. This square will stay colorful. Dark cities.
divorce.
This is
It's gonna be a time of. It's gonna be a time.
yeah.
So you
Well,
remember
I'll
this
say this.
conversation?
I'm gonna remember this conversation. It's
So
going
you
on the
just
World
say,
Wide Web. It's gonna be out there. So, but no. Honestly, this is why I brought the Iron Table together, and I brought these three because y'all keep it real, and y'all, even though y'all are telling your pain points and your stories, y'all are still affirming, and pouring in to me. And I'll tell anyone who is married. Coming up on 13 years next year. We're at the halfway point.
Woo!
Yeah,
Congratulations, man.
thank you. You gotta find friends that have gone through it who will speak the reality, but
Mm.
also affirm your marriage because I know y'all don't want me to ever experience that. And so even when it's frustrating and it might be something that I've done, y'all been able to talk me off the ledge, probably laughed at me.
get back in there.
Yeah, it's like, don't you go nowhere, but and that's why we have this channel. We have this channel to just encourage men in ways that we may not have gotten it directly from from youth growing up till now. So just even divorced individuals have some knowledge to share.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
go if you and your partner can't find someone together, you've got to go talk to someone in order to make sure that you are covered so that you don't react and that you really just take a step back and really
Mm-hmm.
listen to try to hear the truth because there is truth even in the yelling, even in the arguing, there is truth. So next episode, we're definitely going to talk about this marriage insurance versus a prenuptial agreement. Dive a little bit deeper into it. But until then, just want to thank my bros for taking the time out this morning. And Danny, get yourself a Android phone that has
Ooh.
that has power saving functions
He
that
choosing.
still
He
gives you. Yeah,
choosing
turn
violence.
the camera off.
Hey, as you were saying it, he said, "Click."
Choosing
Yeah, I mean he
violence.
had to. That's
Yeah, that
that,
battery was like, "We
that
done."
battery.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Ah,
Ah, there goes
Oh,
that battery.
he's
look,
like, "Nah."
look.
But all
Now
right,
you know
fellas,
you.
this we keep it real. Of course, we always have that after recording powwow. Maybe one day if y'all pay for it, we'll let y'all in the inner table. But until then, guys, let's keep it real. Work with accountability, and let's keep telling our truth. All right.